Right, welcome everybody. Hope everybody's well. It's Friday, and it is, for those of you who don't know, it is a bank holiday today in the US, Juneteenth Day. I'm not sure what it's celebrating, but I haven't looked into it. But obviously, what is this going to mean? This means that the US market is going to be a bit slower, than obviously what it normally is. The stock markets closed today. Banks are obviously closed, so yeah, that's why I wanted to capitalize on London. Um, now let's obviously go through where we're at, what, where, why, how. All right, dollar is flying. Absolutely, flying here. One, it's the, kind of I was expecting an opposite reaction, if I'm honest, but obviously, again, great timing. You've got to, probably ask yourself, has this timing been, yeah, kind of to absolute perfection? So basically, dollar is trending because of, strength. All right, it's very strong. It was a very good speech for FOMC on Wednesday, and it's trending high now. Because it's trending high, I cannot look to sell it. Right, it's too much of a risk here. Looking to sell it. We have had a little tail off. If we look 615, we broke that 100, but obviously still, you would argue that there's a higher probability that obviously we're going to stay in this area than we are coming down into this area here. And obviously that's one thing. I make it very basic here, but that should be your argument here. What's the highest probability? If we're looking back through kind of history here, so yeah, so you know, before we obviously get a drop, we always get a retest. All right, nine times out of ten, you'll get that kind of pump, and then you'll get a retest before it, tails off. All right, so I'm kind of thinking, yeah, dollar's pretty strong. Yes, London, or this last kind of 2 hour candle has closed below 100, but we got a lot of support here. So I'm kind of looking at this holding, potentially coming back up, and then potentially this afternoon tailing off because we don't have much US optimism here. I do think liquidity is going to be a bit slow, but I'm not going to lie, we're very active here. So looking at, yields here, I would call this whole holding. We pumped back up to 4.5, but we're staying in this area here. Yeah. Nothing is really kind of breaking out. We're struggling to break through these, lows. So price is kind of doing this, right? And I can't really see that changing today. So let's, wait and see. Stock markets are obviously down, but looking like recovering. Oil as well had a little bit of a recovery, but I can see this probably kind of staying in this area too. So it's a little bit of one of those days where, because we're obviously going to have a quieter US market, I've obviously wanted to go all out and out attack a bit this morning. We've also, like a highlight, think about the week we've had. I've got space here. All right, I've got space. I've One thing that I wanted to go over, and obviously it's, one thing that has been quite interesting, in regards to what has been happening. So, last probably 3 or 4 months, we've been trading carefully. All right. Now all three trades we did yesterday afternoon ended up hitting TP2. I've closed out early. I've been very happy. Could have probably tripled this. But I did the same Wednesday. I did this the same Tuesday. All of this week is a week where I've probably left some, money on the table. Now, yesterday I really probably identified it in the evening where, I'm still in, ward zone, worried about tweets, kind of on the protective end. I want to hit my target and that's all. Um, so what I'm gonna start to do is probably hold things a bit longer, especially now. What's really, really important, look at a trading week like this, all right? It doesn't matter if I have a losing day today, I'm still in profit. All right. And obviously, that's the most important thing here. All right. It doesn't matter if I have a losing day today, I'm still in profit. So, this is why we build it up. All right. What are you going to be happy with, Friday? All right. And obviously, you can then gear up to obviously making sure that, you are on point coming into tonight happy. All right, and that's one thing to always think about. Don't go all in where you're blowing everything. You want to be like, right, you know what? If yesterday and today I come out break even, I'm really really happy. All right, but I might as well give today a bit of a go because I've identified that I'm kind of not letting things run as much as what I should do. So let's go through our trades. Probably the first morning in a while, everything is within our, zone. All right. Remember, we're anticipating price coming into probably a bit above our zone, a bit below. All right. So we're anticipating we want price to come in. So even if we're in a bit of drawdown here, we obviously want price to come in. Prices come where we've wanted it to. Now it's about, have we got the overall macro outlook right? Are we going to tail off to the downside here? All right. So Aussie, happy. We obviously for the first time broke these, lows. Even on the 2 hour here, broke through. So I'm obviously happy. I can't look to buy here. The overall outlook, you'll obviously have some scalpers thinking, right, you know what, I'll buy from here to here. But obviously I'm looking at the overall, trend here. All right. So overall trend, now that we've obviously broken through this area, which we were struggling to, we've broken through this here, which we were struggling to. I'm expecting price to kind of roll over and at least kind of test this area here. That's what I would like. Nothing's changed. Dollar is still strong, and I even believe Aussie, until it breaks these, oh, that's a wonky line, until we break these, lows here, then I do think that, there's not going to be profit taking here of any kind. So that's obviously Aussie here, and so we've got this one in a bit of profit. And these two in drawdown. Right, let's go on to the next one here. I put four trades in this morning, so I wanted to go a bit aggressive. Pound, you know, pound. We have had some data this morning, but I wouldn't call it high impact. All right, I wouldn't call it high impact data. Oh, I didn't want to do that. There we go. Right, it's now refresh this. There we go. Right, so. And even with this, the data coming out, like I'd said, it's going to be a little tailwind, but not obviously over the top. Nothing's 3 star, nothing's high impact. The overall kind of outlook of inflation and everything is how it is. Stops are obviously above this high here. So just like everything else, pound's been very, very weak this week. I'm expecting a continuation to the downside here. Euro again active, all three triggered within our zone here. Expecting this to tail off. Euro and pound, however, an indirect correlation because for those of you who don't know, Euro USD is the most traded FX asset. I think 65% of trades at any time are always on Euro USD. Strange, thing, but it's true. So, I expect this to, kind of be tailing off, you know. And what you've got to always remember, yes, this is our entry, zone here, but really our kind of zonal is probably this. All right, so anywhere here, remember we got major resistance there, tested once, twice, three times before it pushed back through, so again, expecting this to continue to the downside here. Let's go to USDJPY. I've stayed away from this, you guys obviously know. Just got to look at these wicks here. This is why I'm kind of trading this carefully. We've actually done really, really well on USDJPY, and it's because our price was here, our zone's been like down here, stops have been here, and it's just popped down, triggered us, popped back up, we've come out. That's how we've been trading a USDJPY at the moment. So you'd almost have to put your obviously entry here, hoping for a nice spike down and then a pop up here, but it's not very nice trading. I wouldn't say. I think USD JPY out of all the pairs needs a big correction. And then obviously we've got gold, had two triggered. So this gold should be about break even right now. We've had obviously this top one trigger and this bottom one trigger here too. So, overall, we're obviously in a bit of drawdown this morning. Nothing, major, but everything has popped up into our area. But I'm kind of expecting to have a bit of a quieter afternoon than we've had this morning. Remember, there's going to be one thing you need to be careful of, especially this morning, is don't try and catch the bottom. All right, how many traders would have tried to buy from here? And look, market does it on purpose. All right. You would have had so many traders try and buy after this candle, and all you're doing is guessing because it's rejected here once before, and then what ends up happening, bang. So rather than having a stop loss, they'd wait for this candle, enter again. What happens again? Bang. Bit of consolidation, enter again, bang. So are we gonna see something very, 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 similar here where everyone's hopping on buys and then, we obviously melt down. I do think gold's got a little bit further to go. There's no reason right now to buy it. We've got a strong dollar. We've got no overall risk at all. So yeah, I don't see why you would need to buy gold. Stock market overall, if we're looking on a weekly, stocks are obviously up, so there's risk appetite. Remember, hedge funds are rather going to put their money into a stock, a company, because they've got a higher chance of return than obviously they would in gold. If you look at something, I know it will be down. Even Tesla this morning would have given you a higher return than gold or most things. And obviously Tesla's not really moved very much at all. If you look at the kind of movement on it, it's pretty small. So yeah, there's more of a risk appetite here for investing in stocks as opposed to obviously putting your money into something like gold. So that's what I'm kind of angling at this morning. Right, let's have a look at the chat. Does anyone have any questions? Right. AD iPhone Max. What are your thoughts on gold? I thought it might start to recover with the peace deal being signed, and it being a safe haven. So actually, Max, it's the opposite. All right. So it's cool, and I know that obviously lots of people think like that, but there has to be a reason, right? Because not as much money is made in gold as you would, say for example, if you bought Tesla for a week or you bought gold for a week. Every single hedge fund out there right? Is going to be probably 80% of the time are going to want to buy, that company or buy a piece of a company as opposed to buying gold. Gold you can't control. If you got a big stake in a company, you're going to be on the board. You're going to then be able to influence and increase profits. And obviously, gold depends on how many people buy it. All right. So, so actually, with this peace deal being, signed, it's actually, negative for gold, right? Because, there's no risk anymore, right? It's probably the worst thing for gold. Not that even gold doesn't even care. It's not like it's a company, right? It's an asset that you buy, hold, and then yeah, you might get rid of it, Um, so I think that yeah, it's one way. It's you have to remember it a bit like that. It is a bit like, so I've got a Bitcoin question coming up. It's a bit like Bitcoin. It doesn't matter to anyone. Obviously it matters to the individuals investing in it, but if Tesla goes bust, it's gonna, everyone who owns a Tesla car's going to be panicking. It's, companies matter. Like assets like gold, silver, oil, it's oil being cheap is, it's a utilized asset, so it's got purpose, whereas gold is just something you hold, and that's all. So yeah, I'm expecting, strong dollar, no kind of, risk of anything. Trump, even in his speech with India, he now gets asked about, Russia, Ukraine. He's very, very positive. He's like, if we can sort out Venezuela, if we can sort out, Iran, then yeah, Russia, Ukraine's no problem. He reckons he's had positive talks with Putin. He's had positive talks with Valinsky or whatever his name is. So yeah, I don't, see it gold kind of pumping until, something happens. All right. Even gold is also recognized as an inflation hedge. Well, obviously, inflation, because of the price of oil, naturally, pretty quickly, inflation is dropping. So there's no need to buy it. And, that's obviously how we've got to look at it. Greg, we're in three positions on three of our trades. And I know your rule of thumb is when three to look to come out. Yeah, yeah, I will. I'm gonna be different. That is my, kind of, safe. That's my kind of, safe kind of way of doing it. That if three trigger, all right, we're obviously looking to come out. I'm actually gonna hold personally this morning because it really pained me yesterday to see last night to see all three trades hit TP, and that's happened to me three times this week. So I don't want it to happen to me this morning. So we got pound and a bit of profit on one, a bit of draw, so almost coming up to break even. We got euro in a little bit of drawdown. We got Aussie should be in a bit of profit overall, and then we've got gold starting to tumble as well. So mine's not actually that bad at all. Um, so yeah, potentially might be looking to remove a couple off, but yeah, I'm not too kind of worried about them, at the moment. I'm personally happy to take a bit of a risk on the account that we've got here because, I'm, open, open to it. I've got plenty of, space for this week. And like I'd said, even me, subconsciously, I want to get into that habit again of holding, holding a bit longer because I'm still in my protective habit, which I've been in for 3 months. iPhone 4. Morning, Dan. Is it a good time to buy Bitcoin? Heard Tate been liquidated 4 times this week on Bitcoin longs. Andrew Tate. So anyone who's been liquidated is obviously buying it with low leverage, right? So first things first. I don't recommend buying crypto with low leverage. It's too high risk. I actually think, we've had this drawn out for a while. I mean, it is these were the two areas where I would look to buy. Probably around here, long-term hold if you want to. I personally, I'm kind of debating. I think if we do pop below here, then I probably would buy. But I think where it is now, like even if it goes to, and I know that everyone's, if it goes to all-time highs, 180K, which might be end of next year, might be the week after. That's 3 times your, money. Can I make that doing something else? Probably, yeah. So do I want it stuck in Bitcoin personally? Not really. But I do agree, if you want to diverse your portfolio, if you do want to hold a bit of Bitcoin, um, I had some Bitcoin. I'd sold most of them on after this drop here. I didn't sell at the high. I sold here. But I've got one, and it's more. Do you know what? I don't invest it in regards to wanting to make profit. I just want to see what happens, And I'm not even thinking about, 2 years. 10 years. I quite, fancy holding it for 20 years and being like, you know what, I've still got one of those. And it might be at 20K. I think I bought in about 32. So, it might be 20K, it might be 500, but I'm kind of long term. But do I think it's worth it? No. Do I think, most of the stock market trackers will give me more hype? Yes. So that's probably what I would be looking at. But I do think, yes, I do think I don't see why Bitcoin's gonna pump right, now. It's a bit like gold. Like, why would you buy it? You know? There's no reason to. Um, and then I don't believe there's that much hype about it, at the moment. That's when you start to buy, is when everyone on Instagram is talking it, everyone on X is talking about it. When we always had, laugh, me and a few friends, because, and there's a saying that we heard, from a crypto investor actually, and he goes, when you see Bitcoin advertised on a London bus, he goes, that's when you close out. And it was weird because then a couple of months later, I think Bitcoin was at these highs. There was a bus drove past, and obviously Bitcoin was on it. And then obviously slowly, a couple of months later, it starts to tumble. But yeah, well, one 100% rule that I would have is don't trade Bitcoin with leverage. All right, because it's just not worth it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. Everything looks like it's starting to tumble. Probably might look to close one of these, potentially Aussie or pound. Um, Gold, I'm going to leave open, should be back in profit. So I'm not too bad at all this morning. I've got gold in a bit of profit. I've got Aussie in a bit of profit. I've got pound in a little bit of drawdown. We've got euro in a bit of drawdown. So, it's not too bad. And obviously, this is the beauty of having three entries. So, yeah. Right, next one here. Robin, what's your rule of thumb on amounts you trade on different sizes of account? I personally think I'm not respecting the sizing of which I should be doing. 25K, 50K. So I would say, as a rule of thumb, let me write this out for everyone. So I would say per thousand, let's do do pounds, say for example, per thousand. I'd do FX, I'd do 0.1. This is on, how I'm trading. And then gold, I would do 0.01. That's how I would probably set mine up. Um, but it all depends, if you go and turn this 1K into 10, right? You can risk more. Well, why can you risk more? Because you've got, 9K free money there. So you might want to risk a bit more on, say, 5K, knowing that you've still got 4K profit. So it all depends on, where your account is. But that's probably what I would, gear up. And what you have to remember is at the beginning, you want to under risk. Because you want to build up that profit. Because when you've got an account which is in profit, you can risk more because you're not risking your capital. The main thing here is not to make money, it's to protect your capital. And if you turn 5K into 10K or 1K into 2K, you can trade the 1K free money completely differently how you trade your own 1K. All right. You can risk more. Yes, by all means, because it's free money. But the 1K isn't. That's yours. That's your hard earned money. And I'd always protect your hard earned money. So the account that we've got is clear. But um, but obviously, it's not, yeah, it's profits basically. So, you want to trade it as not that I ever would, because obviously my risk is tiny. So my risk is, small. But I would be risking more of the profits if you want to, but obviously your hard-earned money, I wouldn't. So, Greg, so I would say as a rule of thumb, how I trade, zero point 0.1 for FX, so that'll be GBP USD, Euro USD, AD USD, gold. Sorry, not gold. And then 0.01 for gold. All right. One thing was, yesterday, all right, we had GBP USD hit target at 52 pips. Gold's hit target at 520 pips. All right, so everyone makes this error that they trade everything exactly the same, but gold you have to let it breathe. You know, so yeah, yeah, I would say that's not an issue at all. I think. But obviously that's what I would do. But you one of the main thing is you want to risk less to build up your profits. So because you don't want that to be in any danger. 5 lots, 30 pips. So if I show you here, so that is, sorry, not on gold. Let's just go back down here. So GBP USD, all right. So 30 pips stop loss on 5 lots is 1K. All right. So you got to remember as well, you're dividing it over, three. So you won't go, you won't go 5 lots, 5 lots, 5 lots, because then you're over risking. You got potential of losing, 6%. All right. But obviously, if you spread it out between the, three, yeah, potentially you've got a good chance there. Or if you just wanted to enter one, you know what your risk is. So yeah, but I'm gonna end it here. Let's yeah wait and see what happens. Like I'd said, I'm going a little bit more aggressive this morning, because I think this afternoon's gonna be quiet. Plus, always build up your week, split it up: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All right. And if you've done well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can either choose not to trade for Friday, or you can obviously choose to like I'm doing. Might as well be obviously a bit more aggressive. So yeah, right. Have a great Friday. And yeah, I'll keep you updated. So have a good one, team. Have a good one.